Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Smoke. We're your podcast hosts. I'm Adamo.
And I'm Boris. Today we have a really special guest here with us, Shawn Albrecht. He's currently a BCHS PCP license paramedic. He's been exactly 4 years on the job now. He's also a big martial arts guy, 24 years grappling now, numerous grappling tournaments, 18 professional fights, estimated 30 amateur fights, third degree black belt, and owner and head coach at Frontline, previously Ascension, where he has numerous first responders training. He also has numerous on-the-job jiu-jitsu matches as well. So,
which we will definitely talk about.
Yeah, welcome, Shawn.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. So yeah, obviously our topic today is about martial arts and how it's relevant to first responders. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, just hear what Shawn has to say and what he's all about.
Yeah. So, Shawn, what made you get into martial arts in the first place?
Oh man, I got beat up at a party.
Haven't we all?
I got about the same reason as I think a lot of us get into it. Yeah, I was flirting with some girl at a party and didn't realize that her ex or her boyfriend was there at the time, and got sucker punched and got my jaw broken, and then I wanted to get back at him, and so I started training. I was actually in dance in high school, so I was in a dance class.
Like interpretive or?
Oh, I was doing jazz and hip hop, I think. I don't know if I was doing ballet or not. I can't remember, but it was like high school was so long ago now. So anyways, my dance teacher was married to a local fighter that was teaching classes out of her place on a couple of nights a week. So I went and joined him and was bound and determined to get back at this guy. And yeah, odd enough, I've never even seen the guy since.
Oh, yeah? Now you got to find him and you got to tell him to come to the gym so you can get some revenge.
No, it was the best punch in the face I ever got.
Oh yeah,
changed my life for the better. I don't know where I would be without martial arts. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that one punch in the mouth.
Glass half full kind of guy. So when you started in martial arts, was it was just to kind of learn how to defend yourself? But I feel like a lot of people do that, but you kind of took it to like almost like a next level. You ended up becoming a pro MMA fighter, third degree black belt, tons of grappling experience, right? Was it just something that you kind of fell in love with after you started training?
Yeah, well, the first few like jiu-jitsu matches and MMA fights and that kind of stuff was more just about to like test myself against someone else in a situation that had rules and like I had a way out, like if I lost, then I wasn't on the street where you don't know what's going to happen. And then it was just the adrenaline rush. Like it was so much fun and it was so exciting that it was like it became very, very addicting very quickly. And then from there it just kind of grew and grew. And yeah, there wasn't too much of an amateur scene as far as like progression in it. It was mostly like these like tournaments where you would do like 3 rounds against one guy, and then you would fight another guy in the day, and then it was like by the time the day was done, you've done like 30 rounds of MMA. So I'm not sure how good that was for my brain down the road. I guess we'll find out. But the next step was just pro. So a lot of us went pro a lot sooner than we probably should have, and then from there it was just fun. It was I met so many people that I never would have met anywhere else in life. At the time I was plumbing and gas fitting as well. I also have my red seal in plumbing and gas fitting. So I wouldn't have met the people that I met had I not been doing the martial arts. Like as you know, Adamo, is you meet so many interesting people in martial arts that you like literally you're training alongside doctors, lawyers, car mechanics, firefighters, like police officers, criminals sometimes, especially back in the day. There's just so many people that you wouldn't interact with, and if it wasn't for the gym and for that lifestyle, I probably would have become a paramedic as well.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like you do get to meet people from all walks of life in martial arts, and especially at your gym, right? There's a lot of first responders, but like you said, there's like doctors, lawyers, there's mechanics, like there's people from everywhere, and you kind of have this one thing in common, and you get to know people, and it's really cool, man. It's a good way to make a really good group of friends.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm super thankful for that one punch in the mouth that one Friday evening.
Thank God, eh? Who knew that getting beat up would be turned into such a life-changing thing, eh? So you guys would do multiple MMA fights in a day?
In a day, yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
I know. It was like, man, it would take me like weeks to recover. But there was like they don't have them anymore. Well, they still have the tournaments anymore. I believe they're under some sort of legal lawsuit. If I'm not still correct. They had a bad incident at one of them where one of the guys got a brain bleed, I believe it was. But
Okay.
anyways, they don't do the MMA portion the same anymore. It was like 3 rounds, one guy, and then whoever was in the tournament, you just moved on. So if you had 40 competitors, you could expect a lot of fights that day. If you had 3 competitors,
Yeah.
you could expect 1 or 2, like
Right.
you never knew how many fights you were getting into that day. You just knew that you were going to be fighting and well,
I know,
Huh.
like one of the jiu-jitsu competitions I did, AVA, which I think you guys put on, right?
I used to own AVA.
Okay, yeah.
So me, myself, and my business partners, and then Scott, that owns Budo in Vancouver. He had already started AVA. He had already done some few tournaments, and then we kind of joined in, and then making this thing go big. But like with my paramedic schedule, and then running a gym that has almost 400 students, 500 students,
Yeah.
and then trying to have a life outside of it. And I'm getting married this year. My time was getting limited. I couldn't put the amount of time that a business partner should into it, so I got out. But yeah, I started AVA. It's a fantastic tournament.
Yeah, I really liked it, but I had like 6 matches and I was like dead by the end of it. And I was like, I didn't even place either. I was just like,
I'm going home now.
yeah. If I was gonna like move on, it would have been like 8 or 9 matches, I think. Right?
I don't feel bad. My first couple of jiu-jitsu tournaments, I got smoked by everybody in like 30 seconds.
I definitely want to get back out there though and get back to competing, and like we're going to touch on this in a bit here, but just that feeling of pressure, right? That performance anxiety and that kind of stress level with competing, like when you get used to that, it makes you a better first responder, because like we were talking about before we started recording, you get that same feeling when you're a first responder going to, pretty high level calls, right? So was your goal when you first started or after you kind of had some of your pro fights, was it your goal to like just go as far with it as possible?
I think everybody that does it wants to make a big organization. Like, it's pretty hard to do a sport and then not want to reach the top levels. It wasn't as easy. I don't even know if easy is the right word, but it wasn't the ability to get into a major organization was definitely less of a chance back when I was fighting, especially in my earlier days. And so when I was nearing my age of 30, I'm almost 40 now. God, I realized hey, I may or may not make it, and even if I do make it, my time up there is going to be very short.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, going more into my other avenues of coaching. I've coached, at a pretty high level as well. And so I focused more on that. And then I focused more on opening up Ascension. Well, we didn't really open it up. We bought it off of my previous coach, Don, and then changed the name to Ascension and went down that avenue. And it was a much better choice, honestly, in the long run.
Yeah.
And then I started focusing more on the paramedic stuff when COVID happened, because it was always one of my goals was to be either a firefighter or a paramedic, something like a first responder, and be a professional athlete. Well, I already accomplished one, so let's try the other one. And then COVID was just, I got an extended break of doing nothing, so
Yeah.
let's do it.
How did your business go during COVID? Did you guys shut down completely, or?
Yeah, we had to shut down completely. It was awful.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of guys invest some money with us, and that's what kept us open the whole time. So
Nice.
yeah, we had Seb Lavoie, who's a longtime ERT member, was the head of, I don't say head of, but staff sergeant or whatever
Yeah.
they called. He invested some money with us, and then another friend of mine, Mark Anderson, invested some money with us. So
Yeah, Seb's actually going to come on the podcast at some point. I was talking to him. It's just a matter of us locking down a date with him. But
Nice.
yeah, he's a badass dude.
yeah, he's my favorite one-legged black cowboy.
Yeah. I know, he like moved out to Alberta now. He's living in like a log cabin. It's pretty sick.
He's got 11 acres with horses and donkeys and whatever else he's got out there.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some ways that you feel that martial arts has developed like your confidence as a first responder, and how can it help other people who are first responders kind of gain more confidence within their role?
For me, the biggest one that I noticed, like you were mentioning earlier about a couple moves in jiu-jitsu that are related to like carrying people or moving them around. There's definitely like better body mechanics when it comes to like moving people around, or like if you're a police officer holding someone down, arresting them, and that aspect of it. For me, like we're not supposed to be getting in jiu-jitsu matches, but like it happens more often than we would like as paramedics. We often go into a scene that's just like two of us, and I don't know what my partner is capable of, and so we don't know what we're going into, just like you guys. But at least with you guys, like
there's at least like four of us.
Four of you, you know. So
we got some tools and axes and things.
Yeah, and you also like there's strength in numbers too, right? Like there's usually like two of us, and so it's definitely easier to attack us. What I notice more is the decision-making abilities under stress, right? Like when you're training jiu-jitsu, it's a very technical and a very thought-out process that you're doing while you're on the mats. And so like if you're stuck somewhere and if you just try to use like brute strength and energy to get out, like it's not gonna go well for you. You really got to be like methodical and think, how am I actually going to get out of here properly?
Right.
And if something's not working, you got to make another decision on the fly. And that's the same with like paramedicine. If something's not working, you got to find a different solution. Like you don't have that choice, right? And if you're flustered and if the adrenaline's super high and you can't think right, then you're not gonna make good decisions. And that's super crucial for all of our jobs: police, fire, paramedics, nursing, whatever you may be into. It's super important to be able to make those decisions under stress and then have a clear thought, or clear train of thoughts.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I know for me personally, I started with MMA when I was 20 or so. That definitely is a huge part of it, is just being able to remain calm in a stressful situation. And I found, even if you're just sparring, right? Like, and you're relatively new, it is pretty stressful, but over time you start to get a lot more confident in it. You're able to kind of calm yourself down, think clearly, and it totally relates to firefighting, being a paramedic, being a police officer, like all kind of avenues of first responder work, right? Where you can just kind of calm yourself down and be able to make critical decisions in a stressful environment, right?
Yeah, and also like just like the confidence in talking to people too. There's something weird about knowing you can strangle almost all of your patients or their families out. It definitely makes talking to them a lot easier, and I don't know, like maybe it's the cauliflower ears when they see them, you get this like instant like respect that I might not have gotten otherwise. But it's definitely helpful in the sense of like when you're dealing with these families under these situations to be confident in what you're saying. And also like a lot of people are not angry with us, but they're upset, right? Like their family member is sick or they're sick, and so they're upset, and they might unintentionally be being rude to you, and it's easier to like have those conversations that, hey, like you got to do this, like stop acting like this, like we're here to help you, like let's do this, let's do that, but you need to show some respect as well, right?
Yeah. And it instills confidence in the patient and the family around too, right? When you're confident, they can see that they're confident. It just makes the whole call a lot easier.
Yeah, just something as simple as like speaking clearly and looking them in the eyes. They're like, okay, this dude's like serious. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Even though they have no clue. I just watched YouTube on the way in, right?
Yeah. So how long ago did you start Ascension?
We started in 2018, May of 2018.
Oh, so like just before COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I was asking. It's just,
like literally just before COVID. So we had about a year or so, and then COVID hit, but honestly, man, like, having the martial arts background like really saved my butt again. Like this sport has saved my butt so many times, not just in the sense of like a self-defense matter. Like when COVID hit, there's a lot of people freaking out and upset and not knowing what to do. And it was like, okay, well, this is happening. How can we make it work? And so we adjusted. We did like home video stuff. We did small group training. I have other career avenues. I just, picked up that. Was like, I'll just make a change for a bit and we'll just make it work. Right. And we just found ways to make it work.
Yeah.
And it paid off. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
My buddy's actually, he's a jiu-jitsu guy in Japan. He's thinking of opening up a jiu-jitsu gym out there. What would be some suggestions you may have or some tips for him? He's originally from Vancouver. Yeah. Anything you would give him as quick advice?
There's so much. Find the right people. Invest in the right people. If you have the right people that follow your vision as to what you want, you can't go wrong. If that's to give you one thing to say without going too much into how to open up a jiu-jitsu business, because I think that's what the firefighters understand or the other first responders want to know about.
Oh, it's all good. We go off track on here so often.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. It keeps it exciting though.
Yeah.
For when you decided to become a paramedic, what was the schooling for that like? I know earlier you were saying you started off as an EMR, but can you kind of walk us through like the steps that you took to get the job?
So for the paramedic, it's changed now. It's a longer course now. Our scope has increased, so they've made schooling longer, both for EMRs and for PCPs. And I don't know about the ACPs. Obviously, I'm not there, and so I can't speak on their behalf. But I know that their actual learning is substantially longer than ours. You got to have a degree in certain sciences and something else, and then you go into it's like a 2-year program, and then and then there's mentorship on top, and you gotta pass a whole bunch of things. You're basically independent, and you can kind of make your own decisions.
Okay.
And there's no backup for you, right? Like you are the backup. Like how we call ALS for backup.
Yeah.
Where's an adult? Where's the nearest adult? Come save me, like, and so like they don't get that option a lot of times, right? So they definitely got to know their stuff. But for us, it was EMR was 3 weeks long, which isn't that much when you really think about it. Like in the grand scheme of things, like you're going into someone's house and they've put you on this pedestal of I don't know how many times I've been called a doctor, and like, well, it's flattering. Like you couldn't be the farthest off from that as possible. There's like, whoa.
I'm as scared as you are.
Yeah.
The dude with the cauliflower ears is not the doctor.
Yeah. So there's that, and then you go through the hiring process with EHS, which they have like a neo course. It's a few weeks long, and then you do your probation. Our probation is not nearly probably as tough as your guys's, but ours is basically don't kill anybody and don't hit anything for the first 6 months, and then you're good to go.
Which should be a pretty achievable probation.
Surprised. And then the PCB was either like a 4-month full-time course, and then there was precepting and then licensing and all the tests after. So it usually takes about 8 months. Or there was a part-time course like I did. I don't learn very well. I never graduated high school, so like a lot of people don't know that. I never actually graduated high school. So for me, learning is tougher. So I did the 1.5-year part-time course, and then it allowed me a week or two in between each classrooms to like study the material over and over and over again and really understand it instead of trying to feel like you're rushed. Because a lot of times in those situations, you get so much information jammed into you at once, and then you're expected to go in the field and remember it all. It's like, it's impossible, right? So
yeah,
for me, it allowed me time to digest it all, and then I would ask my friends like, to help me do study sessions. Like I leaned on a girl named Sheena a lot, and she's an ALS member, and leaned on her a lot for study sessions and to like actually fully understand it. So that one took me about 2 years to get the PCP on top.
She's a black belt at your gym too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She's one of my black belts. It kind of switches the roles, kind of reverse. When we're on the job, she's in charge, and then when we're at the gym, I'm not really even in charge either. So
so nothing changes.
Yeah, nothing really changes. Yeah, no. Sheena's a fantastic jiu-jitsu practitioner and teacher, and then she's one of the ALS teachers as well. And she actually teaches a lot of risk management and safety stuff, and I'm wording this terribly wrong, so I'm sorry, Sheena. But she has her whole program called Redline, and it's geared towards first responders, about like stress management, scene safety, everything you could ever imagine about doing a call, except for like the medical part of the calls. It's everything else that goes with it: scene safety, risk hazards, all that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping one day EHS finally gets her in, because it's a very, very good program that she's designed. But
yeah, we should get her on the podcast actually.
Did you just have that scene when we looked at each other? Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, you should totally get her on. She's she's fantastic teacher, martial arts black belt. Like that says enough. And then of course she's like one of the best ALS members we got. She's also a teacher for ALS. Like she's great. You won't regret having her on.
Yeah, we'll maybe at the end of this we can get her contact info from you. Because I haven't seen her in the gym in a long time, but I also only go to the 11 a.m. class.
She hurt her knee, so she's been out for a little bit with that.
Okay, cool. But yeah, we'll definitely reach out to her. A lot of fire departments really like hiring paramedics, and it seems like a lot of paramedics end up becoming firefighters, right? So that's kind of why I wanted you to explain like what the process is to become a paramedic.
If you don't have the qualifications directly to transfer to firefighting, maybe the paramedic route is for you.
Thank you.
Well, you guys do so much medical calls too, right?
We do.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I know a lot of times you guys get cleared from scenes pretty quick, but like you're still going to a lot of medical calls. So it is definitely handy. Like, we had one of our ALS members works in Coquitlam. I run into him, a little bit, and it's like, it's very nice when you run into him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Because he's at ALS under EHS as well, and he actually actively works with EHS. So like, it's like you run into him, you're like, the handoff report is like phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everything's taken care of. You can rely on him for asking him certain questions, and it's nice. But yeah, it is a very handy thing for fire. You can always tell when one firefighter's, definitely been studying their medical stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I remember a call that I was on, and the other firefighter was a paramedic. I think he was actually even ALS when we got to the call, and he just took over, did all the medical stuff, and I was like, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a genius.
You want that pulse ox?
Yeah. Yeah. For us, see, I'm only FR, so I can't even give a pulse ox.
Yeah, same. Yeah. They asked me the other day, they're like, oh, what was his room air sats? I'm like, not qualified.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm like, do you want oxygen in a blanket?
Hot pack? But yeah, having that higher medical level as a firefighter is so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely handy, and understanding the body systems is very handy as well, right? Like, why is someone short of breath when the pulse ox is 99%? What's actually going on? So
I mean, I couldn't tell you.
It's
well, neither could I, but that's why you guys are gonna have Sheena on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I find that like a lot of things are like that, even in the fire service, like hazmat. I'm a hazmat tech, and
boring.
Well, like, just kidding. That's the thing. Is like either you like it or you don't. If you really like it, you're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like medical's the same. Some people just don't like medicals.
Yeah.
So they just stay at that basic level.
And you love that hazmat stuff. You
I love it, buddy.
Yeah, you nerd out on that
1202, 1203,
Yeah,
1075.
Oh, look at all these cool chemicals.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can start mixing them at home.
Yeah.
Make some extra cash.
Oh man.
Well, the medical calls can be boring, but like, I don't know, like for us, like we just respond to, as a BLS, you go to everything, right?
Yeah.
You go to the boring stuff. You go to the hangnails, literally. I'm faster to get in with you, like, no, you're not, but okay, let's hop in. Let's go. And then you go to the serious calls, and then you go to assist ALS. You go to everything, right? So
Yeah.
on the serious calls, it's fun because you get to use your skills and you get to do things. And on the boring calls, you got to make the most of it. So I usually just try to have a good time. If we can laugh and joke around, then people leave thinking, oh, those guys were so awesome. The paramedics were the best. And we're like, man, all we did was provide a warm blanket and a stretcher. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that customer service, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point, actually, is like, whether you're a firefighter or a paramedic, right? Sometimes you're going to go on calls where you're like, I can't believe we're here, right? Yeah. Like, so it could be something really simple, but it's all about your attitude and like the presence that you bring too, right? Like, keep up a good attitude and be friendly and have good bedside manner, even if it's for a call for someone with a headache or whatever, right? It does go a long way for the patients as well, right?
Well, also it's like your attitude does everything, right? So it's another thing you learn in martial arts, for example, is like when you're fighting, like you like, that's why you see a lot of fighters are like, I'm the best, and they're just saying that. It's not like they're not probably actually thinking they're the best, but in their head they're putting those positive thoughts in, right? And so
right.
your thoughts will lead your actions. And I see a lot of paramedics, I don't know about the firefighting world, but I see a lot of paramedics that are like, why are we here? This is effing stupid. This person's dumb, and it's like,
right.
Like, who cares, man? Like, they call, we haul. Like, let's go in, let's have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, laugh, let's make the most out of it. And like, it's going to be a better call because your attitude changed. And in fighting, if you have a bad attitude, like, oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I'm losing. Oh, I'm this. Well, then you're going to lose. You're going to get tapped out, or you're going to get knocked out, or, whatever, right? So just have a good attitude about it and move on. At the end of the day, like, for how much schooling we do and how much we actually, had to do to get there, we're getting paid pretty well, and we got a pretty sweet job. So
absolutely.
A great mentality. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us like what one of your most memorable calls is?
A few of them. I'd say like the most memorable one, like for people that don't get to do them that often, is we delivered a baby in a SRO. That was probably my most memorable one.
Wow.
I was only a part of the call. Like, there was 2 ALS crews and 2 BLS crews, and we were one of the first ones there. Fire was like, we don't want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
We are,
sounds about right.
We'll be in the hallway. Let us know if you want us to throw you an oxygen tank or something. But no, we had a breech delivery. So if you don't know what breech is, it's when like a foot's hanging out, we had one foot was hanging out and mom was overdosing at the same time. I don't know if like she was like prior drug use or just did it at that time or whatever. Like, I don't know how anything turned out, but so we had that was a pretty crazy call. And then so we were going to rush her off to the hospital, but then the other foot popped out. So we ended up staying on scene, but it was a pretty difficult like birth in the sense that like she wasn't able to push a lot, and you can't really pull the kid out. And so the ALS member that was on there did a fantastic job. He killed it with all of us. But baby eventually came out, but it was blue and needed CPR and the full resus. So it was like textbook resus of this newborn, and then running an overdose on mom after, all that good stuff. And it was just cool because like you don't. I hope I never have to anyways, ever again, is essentially delivering a baby that is lifeless, and then you get it back. And so the baby made a full comeback.
Wow.
And then, and then baby went to the hospital, and I think everything was all right. From what I heard, was everything all right. And then we were able to save mom after, and then everything kind of worked out. But you don't get to see those calls often. Usually babies are a pretty straightforward thing, and everything's all good. But to see like a textbook resus in person and be a part of it, and it was like, hopefully something I'm never part of again, but super cool to actually be a part of.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah. A confidence check too. If you have a call like that and you guys knock it out of the park, that's amazing too.
Yeah. Well, luckily for us and me and my partner at the time, I was actually with my PCP school teacher at the time. So the ALS members were really, really good on there and whatnot. I remember I had to lift mom up and stuff like that, and I was helping with the baby down. It was just like, there was so many, that hallway, like I've never seen so many kits. It was just like the whole hallway was like kits and tanks and you name it, and people. There was like one fire truck and like 4 or 5 ambulances. It was wild.
Wow.
We got called to childbirth call, and on the way there, I was driving. I remember being like, I really hope the paramedics show up when we get there, because this is terrifying.
That's like us. I really hope ALS gets here soon.
Yeah.
Everyone's hoping for that next level.
Everyone's just trying to pass the buck, right?
I was on an SRO pregnancy call as well, and we actually I thought it was, I'm trying to think of a game plan. We're going to go in, we're going to do this, because of course as firefighters we're sweating on this call, right? Yeah. And the first thing we see when we walk in is like 2 pit bulls. I'm like, oh, I did not expect this.
Yeah, how do you plan for that, eh?
Yeah. Oh crap.
But that being said, right, like that's actually a good example, Boris, is that like on this job, whether you're a paramedic, a firefighter, or a cop, whatever, right? But as a first responder, you almost have to like expect the unexpected sometimes, right? Because we only get so much information from dispatch, right? And they're only getting the information that they're getting told, right? So a lot of times when we do show up to stuff, it's a lot different than, what we get told on the way there, right? So
yeah, and like it's all about, staying calm during those crazy times, right? Like there's obviously we all got tons of stories, like I've had kids that were critically sick, and then you're all on your own and you're like, what should I do next? You're like, and then you just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I got to go down this algorithm, and then it's all good. And until higher help arrives, it's just super important. And I can't stress the importance enough of first responders doing the martial arts, right? Being able to make decisions under that constant stress. Also, what a big piece of it is the mental health aspect, right?
Yeah.
Is that we're forgetting that, like, I don't know how much studying you guys know about mental health stuff, but like I know I don't know a lot. I'm not an expert on this at all, but I do know that like when you're having anxiety or these bad thoughts and you're in this weird place, like you have to rewire your brain to like not think about it and put positive thoughts in. A couple of things they recommend, one being exercise. They really stress exercise, and then obviously not thinking about it. Well, it's very hard for people if they don't have a lot of training to just not think about what's bugging them. It's not just like, don't think about it. It's like, okay, that's a lot easier said than done. Yeah. Because I'm going to constantly think about this one thing. Yeah. Well, jiu-jitsu is kind of both. You're getting this physical exercise and you're not thinking about it, because it's impossible to think about something when someone's trying to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's trying to break your arm or strangle you.
Yeah, you're only thinking of that. It's like, okay, well, I guess everything else just goes to the wayside. Yeah. And that's just for like regular people too. Like you could just be like you're working at a bank and you're stressed about finances. Or, well, I don't know if you'd be stressed about working at a bank, but you know what I'm trying to say here. You could be stressed about finances, and then you go into a jiu-jitsu gym and someone's trying to strangle you and take your arm off, and you're like, well, all of a sudden, I don't screw the finances.
Yeah.
I want my arm back, like, and then you leave after an hour, and you're like, wow, I didn't think about it. And then and then those endorphins last for like not just the day, they last for like 3 days.
Yeah.
So you go for a run, you're gonna benefit for like the next few days, right? So that's why they stress, doing exercise so often, because it helps, and especially first responders, our schedule is so messed up and all over the place that a lot of us neglect our exercise because it's an easy excuse to say, oh, I'm tired, I'm overworked, or whatever, right?
Yeah. We actually talked about that kind of at the start of this podcast when we first started this, about mental health and stuff like that. But that was like one of the things that I said was with jiu-jitsu, it allows me to not only get a good workout in, but to also not think about everything else and just be present in the moment, right? And that does do a lot for your mental health as a first responder.
It's wonders, yeah. Like even something like, I love chess, like playing chess, like your head is not in anything else, right? Or swimming. You're just trying not to breathe in water.
Boris did claim that he could hold his breath for 30 minutes. So
yeah, that's exactly what I said.
It was a mix-up of words, but I'm going to hold him accountable to it.
Maybe we can actually try it now with Shawn here. Choke me out, and I can see if I can hold my breath for half an hour.
Yeah, good luck.
You want to call 911 now or later? Or?
We'll get them on standby right here.
Yeah. Maybe make a call to a couple of friends first.
So with Ascension, so now you guys have changed the name to Frontline.
Yeah.
And what was the reasoning behind that? Like anything particular? Or?
All good. The name's been a few different names with me. It was West Coast BJJ at one point, or West Coast BJJ and MMA, and then West Coast Martial Arts, and then because it sounded more family friendly, and then Ascension, and now Frontline. It was a collaboration. Like our next door neighbors, Sheepdog. We eventually moved places. Our old location we just outgrew, so we eventually moved locations, and we ended up going next door to Sheepdog, our good friends over there, because they're like, hey, we got a bay open, like come next door, and then we can work with each other, like. People can go and cross train and all that stuff, right? And so we did, and it was all right. Like we've been friends for I don't know how many years. I was one of the first students actually at Sheepdog CrossFit back when Seb owned it.
Yeah.
And that's a whole story in its own how I met Seb, but and Sheepdog. But so we we were working beside each other for a long time, and then as me and Paul's one of the main owners over there, and kind of like I would say like their manager over there. Like anyways, does all the back end stuff, and I do all the back end stuff for my gym. We're chatting. We're like, man, like these gyms are okay. They don't make a ton of money, but it'd be so cool if we were just all one gym, but like we're not. We're at two separate businesses. And then we're like, do you think we could do that? And I was like, I don't see why not. Like, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we see if it works? And then we started talking about it. And we're like, oh wow, this could actually work. This could actually be something. And rather than have two gyms that are doing okay, let's have one big gym and strengthen numbers and we can collab. Paul's skills, I don't have Paul's skills and he doesn't have mine, so they work nicely. We work nicely. They
complement each other
together, and then
how we are.
Yeah.
No comment. But and then we each have business partners as well, and they all bring certain skills and certain assets to the team, and it was. The more we talked about it, the more it made sense. But we like as you guys mentioned, we have a heavy first responder clientele, and so Paul's a fire chief, and obviously I work as a paramedic, and with our first responder clientele, and just going after being more like a tactical athlete place. It's cool to obviously have pro MMA, which we do. We wanted the name that was open for everybody. So if you're a pro MMA fighter, you're going to go to Frontline, you're going to get the full deal, right? You're going to get the MMA with Dimitri, you're going to get the kickboxing and some MMA with Tristan, who fought in the UFC, and Dimitri's coach in the UFC, and all the coach high levels. Me as well. I coach in the UFC too, but I'm not on the schedule, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the jiu-jitsu, and then you get the awesome fitness on the other side, right? All the strength and conditioning over there. So it was basically just a collaboration of me and Paul, and with a first responder thought behind the name, definitely, but blends it into the all-around tactical athlete kind of place, because there's not any other gym that you're going to find a massive workout place full of all the equipment, and then you're going to find a pretty decently sized mat space for all the martial arts, and then having UFC fighters in there and coaches, and everybody's really good at what they do. So I don't even need, I shouldn't say I don't need to be there. I do still need to be there, but I don't have to be there because the guys I have working there are so good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys have out of any gym I've ever gone to, the number of first responders training at your gym is more than I've ever seen anywhere else. And I think you guys do a really good job of kind of having that environment for first responders to go train, because I know especially with maybe cops, like there are some gyms out there, and I'm not trying to knock them or anything like that, but some of the people that train there are a little bit more on the sketchy side, maybe we'll say.
Not fair enough.
Whereas like with you guys, like it's just everyone there is awesome, man. Like everybody I've ever trained with there has been just a good person, right? And yeah, it's an awesome place. Do you want to maybe just talk about Frontline, and you guys offer a first responder discount, and if any first responders out there are looking to get into this, like where they can find you and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so we're in Port Coquitlam. We're on the corner of Mary Hill Bypass and Kingsway there. There's the Tim Hortons and Wendy's in there. So we're just in there. We got a pretty large spot. We got 4 bays. So if I tell you it's unit, you know, it's not going to make sense. It's 1320 Kingsway, but it's unit like 108, 9, 10, 11, and there's an upstairs as well. And it's just it's a decent sized place. I'll put it that way. Yeah, and there's tons of first responders that are there training. There's always fire and police and paramedics and nurses and that kind of stuff in every class. It's impossible not to find one or one of us in a class.
Yeah.
Hence why we got the I think we're the only gym as well that's like properly set up for medical wise as well, with like AEDs and oxygens and BVMs and you name it.
Yeah.
So, because I think everybody knows how to work them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we offer like a first responder discount. Like the easy math would just be able to say, oh, it's like 20% off whatever membership, but like honestly it's more of like a person to person basis depending on what they can do, because some like they might have a more of a desk job with police and they're like working 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Us we're like 4 on 4 off, or like 24 on and then whatever days you get off. Like I think it's a little bit different for some people.
Yeah.
So like the schedule is all over the place for some people. So like for like most people do like a once a week membership, once or twice, and it's around like somewhere between $50 and $75 a month. Like it's not much money.
Yeah.
And so they take advantage of the place. And we got classes that start at like 5:30 a.m. There's classes at 9, 11, 12, 4, 5. There's classes all day going. So the schedule is like pretty wide open for anybody to just come in. There's also open gym times. Like the gym is like basically open all day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, it's frontlinefl.ca, and yeah, awesome. That's all I got to say, really.
That's another good point too. Actually, is the schedule that you guys offer is unbelievable. Like you said, there's classes all the time, right? So if you are a shift worker, don't worry, because you can go during the day, you can go early in the morning before your shift. There's tons of evening classes. But yeah, I definitely recommend, if you're a first responder or you want to become a first responder, you should definitely get into martial arts, get into jiu-jitsu, get a hold of Shawn, and come check out Frontline.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many applications I've had to be like a reference for, like the phone calls they do, like the police, fire, EMS. I get like, man, it feels like every week I get a phone call from some sergeant. Hey, this is from recruiting.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about so and so. You're like, oh, okay.
Did you choke out Mikey? Yeah, I did. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So your police force needs more help. I'm here to help. Here's my bill.
Before we end it here, can you tell us a story about one of your on-the-job jiu-jitsu matches?
Yeah, I guess the point here wasn't coming to promote Frontline, right? The point was to talk about jiu-jitsu and the benefits of it, and just recapping on that. Like I have a quick list here, make sure I didn't forget anything. Is that we talked about the stress relief and the benefits of that, and changing your mindset, the confidence it gives you, like being able to better talk to people, and then just being more like confident on scene and in the decisions you're going to make. And if they're the wrong decisions, accepting that, okay, I made a bad decision, let's move on, right? And the emotional control that comes with it, it's super important to be able to control your emotions on those crazy calls.
Yeah,
no matter what they were, whether they're stressful medically wise or family stressful, or the patient's trying to hit you, being able to control your emotions is huge, right? And then for funny stories, I got a lot of funny stories, but I don't even know where to start with them all. Like I said, jiu-jitsu happens too much to paramedics, or these situations can happen too much. And The last one we got into was I had a crazy guy. He was messing around. I don't know what he was on, but he was on some really good stuff, and he was causing quite the scene. And so he ended up actually getting kicked out by security, and then we picked him up like 30 minutes later because he overdosed, oddly enough. But so we ended up like picking him up. We brought him back, and then we got him back, and then he started getting super rowdy again at the hospital. And like, despite my multiple attempts of asking for security, but they were tied up somewhere else. We started getting super aggressive, and then went to go tell the people out there, and they're like, well, it makes the most sense for you to go in, because he started like kind of chasing this like nurse around the trauma bay. So he's like angry at this nurse, and this like little Filipino girl's like running around the trauma bay trying to get away from him. So like she's like, it makes sense for you to go in there, and I was like, well, that's not really my job, but okay, I guess so. So like went in the trauma bay and like guided him in the right direction. So he goes like, towards the linen closet, and then like biffs it into this thing and falls down, and he can't figure out what happened. And like it wasn't, I just steered him because he was going after the nurses. So it just kind of was like, hey, no, actually the door is this way kind of thing. I didn't push him or anything. So anyway, so he gets up and he's angry, and he takes a swing at me, and we duck underneath and dump him on the ground, and I'm holding him down as I'm calling for like, hey, we need police here, like code 3, there's this guy, so and so is happening, blah blah. And then like our supervisor is like, can I get a call from whatever our call sign is? I won't say it on here. And I was like, sure. I give him a call, and he's like, are you pinning him down right now? And I'm like, yeah. Why? He's like, well, you could have called me after. And then like I felt like Liam Neeson off that like Taken movie, I have a special set of skills. Yeah. So like these incidents do happen. They're just like I mean, they can sometimes be scary. I got one in Kelowna, I think it was, on a transport. I didn't realize this guy had like tried to kill somebody, and he was going up there I can't remember what he was going up there for, but he attacked me right in the ambulance bay, and he was a pretty big dude. And so like, that was like, oh crap, that kind of came out of nowhere. And, and he had bad intentions and just pinned him down. Luckily there was police already at the hospital, so it was a very quick detainment. But yeah, they do happen. I don't know, like this one was funny. Most of them are funny to me because like I think when you have a very high level of training and then you go against a civilian, let alone a civilian that's like intoxicated or on whatever they're on, it's a pretty easy match.
Oh yeah. For sure. Right on.
So we have just created our Patreon program, and it's online. We'll put a link in the description of this episode. It's got all our freebies on there. So it's got resume templates, the interview checklist,
the competitive edge checklist.
Yeah, competitive edge checklist.
And we're also going to be diving into more in-depth interview episodes and hiring process stuff. And we're going to be posting it on there. It really does help us out because then we're able to pay Francesco for producing this podcast. If it wasn't for him, we'd be hooped.
You guys missed the part where we were just trying to turn this microphone on before this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we wouldn't be anywhere without him. So we'd like to start paying him a lot more.
And it's also going to be a way for us to just upgrade to better audio equipment, better cameras, better lighting, and all that kind of stuff to bring you guys a better experience with this podcast.
Yeah, and that was your idea actually, with the whole going over every interview question kind of in depth and really getting into the interview panel stuff.
Yeah, we'll be going into that in really great detail, really breaking apart the questions and just talking about like what they're actually asking in these questions, right? And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of info, a lot of really, really good info.
And if it's not, let us know. We also have a chat group in there as well on Patreon.
That's right.
So if there's, guests you want us to see, bring on, or if there's questions you want us to ask or talk about on the podcast, you're more than welcome to ask us on there.
Yeah, for sure. And like when it comes to those behavioral / situational type questions, we can break down a question and talk about it for probably half an hour. Yeah. Right. Just one question.
Easily.
So there's going to be a lot of really good info on that. And like we said, it's going to really help support the podcast so we can upgrade better equipment and also keep Francesco around so that way there is a podcast.
Chaining him down to the table would be too cruel.
Yeah. Right on. Awesome. Well, Shawn, we really appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you very much. So for those of you listening, like I said earlier, if you're interested in training martial arts, just reach out to Shawn, and it's a really good way for you to develop some confidence and some critical thinking abilities. So
yeah, thanks, Shawn.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You're the man. See ya.